roles that pachyderm clubs often fulfill is, once again, if the Central Committee does not have to invest its resources in putting on training for how to run a campaign or how to be an effective volunteer, once again, that's an educational function which falls clearly under pachyderm's design. And so I encourage pachyderm clubs that just work with the Central Committee, because you don't want to do something that they feel strongly is their role. I mean, we need to make sure that this is a symbiotic relationship. But typically, if you offer the Central Committee chairman that you'll handle putting on the campaign training for volunteers and campaign managers, normally they're going to be pretty gung-ho about offloading that to somebody else. So while the pachyderm club itself should not be doing the recruiting, that's the Central Committee's job. Training a group of volunteers in advance so that when they go and they say, you know, Fred, Lord, we need you to run for the legislature. We really need this seat. You're going to be a great candidate. And he says, well, what can you supply me? If they can say, you know, here's a list of people that we've got trained to be campaign managers and line workers for you, that's a tremendous selling point. And we don't have to wait till there's a candidate. You can start that training right away and have a cadre of people available that candidates can tap into. The mindset's a little different. When you're running when you're a campaign or candidate, or when you're Central Committee chairman, people are motivated usually for a specific reason. Think about the campaigns. They're there because they know that individual who's running for the most part. Those people come in, they work very hard, they do great things for us indirectly, and then if their candidate loses, they go away. Pachyderm is a way to capture those people, keep them engaged, train them so that the next time a candidate motivates them, they're better prepared. And that should be part of your normal processes as a pachyderm club. You don't have to wait until there's a ballot issue that gets somebody all excited. You don't have to wait until the next time there's a governor running. Teach them how to be effective campaigners now. And so once again, I mean, you kind of have to change your focus point of what we're used to in politics, because typically political involvement is short-term impact driven. We're looking at a campaign that runs from this year to election day in the next cycle, and then it's done. Pachyderm is to strengthen the overall framework of the people out there so they know how to be effective campaigners, they know how to be effective volunteers, and quite frankly, you encourage people to run for office because now you've got a guy or a gal that has never been engaged in politics before, attending your club, understanding that all of us who are elected officials are just like them. We just got more irritated one day and signed a silly piece of paper. You know, and it encourages people to get engaged. So, you know, it's not a point-driven system. It's creating a wide continuum of education about our political system.
Do you have any recommendations on what we are thinking of doing is having the Missouri Federation of Republican Women's ABC Campaign School here, held here with the Republican women and possibly our Pachyderm Club as co-sponsors. And we're in the process of talking with them in regard to that at this time and trying to come up with a tentative date for such a school. Is there another source for training activities that we might be able to access?
Well, yeah, I mean, Pachyderm has its own materials too, but quite frankly, there is no reason to recreate the wheel if you've got another methodology, and there's certainly no reason to ever be in conflict with the Central Committee or Women's Federation or any of those other groups. Pachyderm, and that's why we've got some hard rules that deal with like the structure and how the board is created, and we could spend a long time talking about the specific reasons why that has been done. We have the solid rule that the club doesn't take sides on issues and doesn't endorse a candidate in a contested primary. But beyond that, we allow a great deal of flexibility because every county situation is unique. And Pachyderm needs, quite frankly, to be able to fill the gaps. I mean, we need to be able to say, look, if the Central Committee is doing these things, doing them very well, these are places where they would like some help. Women's Fed is doing these, and what other, if you got a Teenage Republicans Club or a YR's Club, Pachyderm can kind of end up being the gel that goes between all the pieces and acts to hold everything together.
Well, the reason why I was asking about possible other sources, I know that if it is